From the spookiest part of the glacial Drumlin Trail in Wisconsin, welcome to the GCN Show. Oh, drop something.
Welcome to the GCN Show, brought to you by our friends over at Wiggle.
This week, why are Quickstep heroes for winning so many races, yet Team Sky are criticised for their dominance? And we also have a study that shows it's safer to ride in baggy clothes in the morning than lycra in the evening. Yes, that is science, apparently.
How weird. I've also got more of your cycling inspiration. I've done my first ever video log, all on my lonesome, and we discussed whether a 52-year-old could be riding Paris Roubaix next year.
It's kind of a striking similarity between a 52-year-old riding Paris Roubaix and you doing a vlog, isn't it?
Is it? This week in the world of cycling, we learnt that whilst Emma makes riding through sand look easy, it really isn't. Thanks to Zolt from the Prem Cross for sending us that.
Yeah, and while we're on the subject of GCN presenters totally bossing cycling, which is not something we can talk about very often, here is Dan showing that he's still got it, as if there was ever any doubt.
Oh, could we just see that again in slow motion?
Yeah, please? Come on. Geronimo!
Oh, I was pleased with that.
Oh yeah, there's
really
quite
pleased.
a ruckus in the comments though. Fraser Goodwin, one of a few people, to say, come on Dan, who was your stunt double? Because he could really ride. Cheeky.
I've been caught out there, haven't I? There was a stunt double.
Was it?
Danny McCaskill, obviously.
Worthy replacement.
Anyway, this week in the world of cycling, we also learned that in picking up the final stage win at the Tour of Guangxi over in China, Fabio Jakobsen picked up Quickstep Floor's 73rd victory of the 2018 season.
Wow, that's not a bad tally, is it? Would you believe it though? Remarkably, that's not a record even for this century. So Colombia, the team, not the nation, took 77 wins in 2008, and in the following year, they took a remarkable 85 victories. But nevertheless, in 2018, Quickstep Floors racked up 30 victories more than their next closest competitor, which was actually Team Sky.
And that direct comparison between Team Sky and Quickstep Floors throws up quite an interesting question. I think it's fair to say that Quickstep have pretty much dominated pro cycling in 2018, and yet if you throw that phrase into Google, i.e. Quickstep Floors dominance, there's only one headline on the first page of results to that effect.
Yeah, and that's about an individual race. Whereas if you do the same for Team Sky, you get, among others, is Team Sky's dominance ruining cycling? The stats. Are Team Sky the most dominant team ever? Team Sky's dominance is a problem for which cycling has no solution. And then perhaps, most illuminatingly of all, Le Passion, UCI president, keen to curb Team Sky's Tour de France dominance.
So what's going on? Why are Team Sky pro cycling's villains and yet Quickstep the heroes?
This feels a little bit like opening Pandora's box, doesn't it?
I know.
You ready?
No. Firstly, the elephant in the room. With the controversy surrounding Bradley Wiggins' TUE and Chris Froome trying to exonerify himself from the salbutamol suspicion, many people have seen Team Sky's mission of being a transparent team, whiter than white, as basically all talk and no substance. However, let's stress that they haven't actually broken any rules. This is more of a PR issue.
Yeah, meanwhile, Quickstep Floors seem to have largely avoided that kind of issue, despite having been going for nearly 20 years now. There was, of course, Tom Boone's infamous cocaine positive, or 3 cocaine positives, but then no one actually really seems to mind about that anymore.
Well, not now, it was 9 years ago, and at the time actually it was a big enough deal that Tour de France organisers ASO did try to block him from riding their event.
Sounds familiar, that story, doesn't it? I wonder though whether Sky's PR issue started a long time before any of these more recent stories actually started to surface. I wonder whether it comes from the fact that when they set out, they said they were going to be different, they were going to do things differently, and they were going to do things differently because they were going to find marginal gains.
I see what you're trying to imply here. You're trying to imply that nobody likes a smart ass.
I'm basically saying, yeah, no one likes a smart ass. I mean, they don't, do
I
they?
think some people do like me.
Really?
I'm not sure. Anyway, I think we should look at the types of races that their teams win. So Quickstep win one-day races and they win stages of stage races. This year they've only won 2 races overall. That was the OVO Tour of Britain and the Dubai Tour. Sky, on the other hand, have won 9 tours overall, including, of course, the Giro d'Italia and the Tour de France, but some really prestigious one-week stage races too, including the Tours of California and Poland and Tirreno Adriatico.
Yeah, that is a very good point, isn't it? Because in order to win stage races, you need to exert pretty strong control over the bunch, don't you? In fact, it's fair to say you effectively get to dictate what happens in the race. You choose who goes in the breakaways and you choose how stages are ridden. And so actually 9 overall victories in a year translates to an awful lot of days dominating professional cycling.
Not quite as simple as that though, because with the likes of Viviani, Gaviria and to some extent Alvaro Hodge as well, Quickstep Floors do possess some of the fastest finishers in the pro peloton. So they could choose to lock down the sprint days and really crush the race, but they don't always do that.
They don't. I mean, they do that, don't they? Gent-Wevelgem, well, notoriously the one that Elia Viviani didn't win. But actually, I think more importantly, a lot of their wins come in rather more sort of showboating fashion, and those are wins in big races too. Tour of Flanders, solid solo breakaway victory for Niki Terpstra. Liège-Bastogne-Liège, solid solo breakaway victory for Bob Jungels.
Yeah, but then those ones, the strength in depth played a factor in breakaways and getting riders up the road, as opposed to sheer dominance where you set an infernal tempo on the front and keep going until there's just one rider left.
True, and that too is interesting because when you think about arguably the greatest solo breakaway of the year, which you'd have to say is Chris Froome's ride on stage 19 in the Giro d'Italia, actually for many cycling fans, upsettingly, it went from an unbelievable ride and it tipped over into an unbelievable ride.
It was a funny one that, wasn't it? Because that was the type of ride that many cycling fans pine after, wasn't it? Like days of old with Coppi or Merckx, and yet lots of people didn't enjoy watching it.
No, I was waiting for it for years from Sky. I loved it.
Did you?
Said. I did, yeah, I did.
And another point I think we need to make is that about budget, because Team Sky do get quite a lot of criticism from various quarters about the size of their budget, which we think is probably more than double that of Quickstep Floors. And there's the sense that you might start taking wins for granted when you've got that much money.
Well, yeah, because you can buy up all the talent, can't you? Egan Bernal, rumoured to be worth 12 million euros over 5 years. And then obviously there's fellow Colombian Ivan Ramirez Sosa, that they mopped up at the end of this year.
Yeah, I was disappointed with that signing, I have to say. I thought he might be the thorn in their side, and now he's like another thorn on their big gorse bush or cactus. Anyway, I don't know where I'm going with that. So, Team Sky set themselves up for a bit of criticism, don't they? Because of their budget, because of the fact that they dominate stage races, which does require them to dominate, but also because when they started out, they sort of set out to be different, didn't they? So they set themselves up to be singled out.
That's right, whereas Quickstep, meanwhile, whether by accident or actually on purpose, they've sort of created this image, haven't they, of like plucky racers with great racecraft and cunning and the horsepower to boot, all while on a budget. The question is, though, I guess, whether or not those are actually fair representations of those two teams. I mean, are Team Sky really the pantomime villain of professional cycling?
I don't think they are, because they've also got a huge legion of fans, haven't they? Much like other dominant sports teams of this world, such as Real Madrid, I guess, could be an example, couldn't it? I think people love winners more than they hate smart asses.
Yeah, I think that's right. And actually, I think that's a really good point, in that there are a huge number of fans for teams like Real Madrid and Team Sky, but yet equally, you can take a pot shot at them because they're on their pedestals, aren't they? I think also, if there's a problem with dominance that comes from stage races, I think the problem lies with the stage races. I'm adamant that team sizes are too big. I think 6-man teams in the Tour de France be great.
Yes. Yeah, I'd entirely agree. I think 6-man teams probably should be experimented with, because it's quite obvious that Grand Tours now can be dominated, much in the same way that Team GB and Dave Brailsford worked out how to dominate on the track. If you produce this much power for this duration and you're this aero and you've got this much rolling resistance, you will win this medal. I didn't think that was possible out on the road with all of the variables, but it does appear as though they've come up with a formula to win Grand Tours, albeit one where you need a certain budget and therefore the top level riders within the sport. On the other hand, I don't think there is a formula and equation to win the classics like Milan-San Remo or Paris Roubaix or the Tour of Flanders, even though they have won Milan-San Remo before.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? We said this was like opening Pandora's box. It kind of is, because when you were saying that, I couldn't help but think, you know, we have seen a team in recent history dominating a Grand Tour on 7 occasions, because US Postal did exactly that. And I don't think, while there are some parallels to Sky's dominance, I think there is one crucial difference, because I don't think they're doing what Postal did. But Postal didn't dominate the classics either, did they, really?
No.
So it's funny whether you can control a Grand Tour by putting out a certain power and buying all the riders that allow you to get the strength and depth to do that. But yeah, for some reason, the classics requires a little bit of extra something. Racecraft, I don't know.
We need your help.
We
because
do.
this discussion has been quite lengthy, hasn't it? And we've
Yeah.
not really reached any kind of conclusion. Why are Quickstep Floors heroes and Team Sky villains amongst some cycling fans? Let us know in the comment section just down below.
Now for something a little bit different. Dan, I gather you've done a vlog.
Yeah, I thought you were going to introduce this by, and now the moment you've all been waiting for.
Oh, you have?
I have come to Brockenhurst in a New Forest, which is handy because that's very close to where I live. Primarily to have a look at the brand new Factor Vista. Hopefully you've already seen our first look and first ride video at the weekend, but if you haven't, it's their first foray into the gravel bike market. That bike does share some similarities with their road counterparts, with the Otis front fork and bar stem combination, but they have had to change the geometry significantly for the bigger tyres, and also they've had to change the carbon layout for extra degrees of comfort. However, also here at the same hotel this weekend, we've got that collaboration with Chapter 3. That not only includes the collaboration on the Factor Vista, which was the bike I did the first ride on, but also a couple of other products too. Let's go and take a look. Quick look at some of the products then that have got that new Devesa treatment. First up, from helmet and eyewear manufacturer POC. This is the Ventral super ventilated aero helmet, and we can also see here that 2 pairs of their glasses have been given that treatment too. These are the Require road glasses, and we've also got the Crave mountain bike shades too. We also have the Devesa print on the Scoop Elite chromoly railed saddle here, primarily designed to go on things such as the Bromptons, which you can also see have been Chapter 3'd, as it were. This one weighs in at 240 grams, but if you follow me just over here, there's something without the Devesa branding on it, but it's pretty cool and slick. And finally, this is not the current collaboration with Devesa, but it's not something I've seen before, maybe you have. This is the Factor Slick Bike that they used in the Time Trial film, and I think you'll agree, that does look very slick, both in terms of the design of the frame itself, but also the paint job that's on it. Very nice.
It's now time for cycling shorts.
We shall start cycling shorts this week with a quick reminder for you. Your chamois goes inside your cycling shorts.
Yeah, thanks Gail Edmonds or Norse Mouse on Twitter for that little reminder there. Now, cycling shorts actually were in the news this week for other reasons. Cycling Science tweeted a link to this study from the Journal of Transport and Health.
Oh, the Journal of Transport and Health. Love that one.
Yeah, well, with research like this, Dan, it is not hard to see why. The study investigates to see whether there is a link between how close a vehicle passes you and other factors to do with cycling. And would you believe it? Actually, wearing lycra versus normal clothes is the biggest influence that they recorded. So basically, if you want a wide berth, wear normal clothes.
Why? They didn't really tell us.
No, they didn't look into that, would you believe
it?
it?
We don't know why, but other factors apparently include the type of vehicle and also the time of day that you ride. So if you want to be on the safe side, ride in the morning.
Yeah. It's bonkers that, isn't it, really? I mean, kind of not surprising when you think about it, in that it's open to human influences, but still, doesn't feel like what you wear should have an influence on how safely people drive around you. But anyway, as we said last week, maybe we should be welcoming the advent of autonomous cars as quickly as possible. Now, sticking with road safety for a moment, one story this week that had a positive outcome eventually regarded the director sportif of Trek Segafredo, Stephen de Jong, after his wife took to Twitter when he failed to come back from his morning bike ride.
That tweet quickly, as you might expect, gathered a lot of momentum, so a manhunt ensued, and he was found. Thankfully, he was down a ravine unconsciously, but thankfully still alive. And a lot of the thanks for that is going to Strava, because apparently it uploaded his ride automatically, and the finish of his ride on Strava was where he was found.
Yeah, I still can't work out quite how it did that.
No.
Unless he pressed stop. But anyway, there we go. It's definitely something that you should consider when you're riding alone. Strava obviously has its beacon thing. Also, Wahoo has its live track, which is what I use, but it doesn't even have to be anything other than Find My iPhone or WhatsApp location sharing. So definitely worth thinking about.
It's worth thinking about. And we wish Stephen all the best in his recovery, of course.
Absolutely.
Stephen was a pro cyclist, as many of you will know, retired back in 2010.
Rode for Quickstep and Sky, interestingly.
Oh yes, he did, didn't he? However, another rider who's 8 years even older than Stephen, not that I'm saying he's that old, but still, is attempting to make a comeback to the pro peloton.
Well, that's right. Andrea Taffy, who many of you will still remember, I'm sure, is hoping to ride Paris Roubaix at the age of 52.
Which is quite incredible, isn't it? No guarantees, of course, that he's going to get a team just yet, but he says that he's still really fit, still rides a lot every year, hasn't put any weight on, and that his vast experience of that race is still very relevant.
Yeah, given that he won it in 1999, which would be conveniently 20 years to when he hopefully race it next year. I tell you, you know who should sign him next year? EF, Education First Draft Bag, powered by Cannondale, clothed by Rafa.
Oh my goodness. Do you mean EF, DPCCR? No, forget it.
I think that's who I mean. But anyway, given that they're looking to create stories around races other than actually just winning them, wouldn't it be great to have a 52-year-old lining up at the start of Paris Roubaix?
I'd watch it.
I would watch it.
Sign him.
Yeah. Do you think if I expressed an interest in riding Paris Roubaix, I won it and I didn't do it 13 times. I still wouldn't mind doing it. It's like the ultimate gravel race, isn't
I think if I expressed an interest in doing a New Forest Boxing Day 10, they'd grant me an entry.
I reckon they would, mate, yeah. You'd have to pay for it, though.
Yeah. Right, quite a major change of subject now, Si, because Zwift have released a huge new course based in New York and also based in the future.
Yeah, so in total there are quite a few kilometres of roads out there that you can link up in various different ways to give you 10 different loops. The longest of which is called the Knickerbocker, which has 385 metres of climbing over 22.5 kilometres.
Knickerbocker glory, perhaps, for some of you, if you're a bit faster than we are. Anyway, most of those loops are based around Central Park in New York, and most of you will know that area is not particularly hilly, is it? So in order to give you all some elevation gain on some of the loops, they have based this in the future, as I said, 2118 to be exact, 100 years from now, and they've included aspects such as suspended glass roads.
Yeah, cool. Now, this is the default course on Zwift now, so if you want to have a look, then, well, you can do it straight away. We'll actually be taking a look at it as well. I can't wait. It's kind of like the first major departure from kind of real life to fantasy that you can obviously do on Zwift, notwithstanding riding under the sea and volcanoes. Anyway, right, now we're going to finish cycling shorts with some more news of cycling shorts. Unfortunately, stolen ones. Well used stolen ones at that.
No, not just the cycling shorts, in fact, but also everything else too.
Yeah.
Because poor old Charlie Condor, who is halfway around his attempt to become the youngest person to cycle all the way around the world, got his Cervelo nicked whilst he was going through Australia. His Cervelo that he calls Colin.
Yeah, Colin that carried all his stuff and had it with him when he got pinched. Now, fortunately, it sounds like Cervelo have actually stepped in brilliantly to supply him with a replacement. In the meantime, Charlie's just been like an international media superstar doing the rounds, but still, hopefully he gets back on the road pretty soon, really, before he gets any older.
Oh yeah, otherwise he might miss out on the record.
Well, exactly that,
Before he gets like Andrea Taffy.
It's giveaway time now, and we've seen the new Cat Eye Sync lights a couple of times actually on GCN and GCN Tech since they were launched, 2-3 months ago, but now you've got the opportunity to actually get your hands on some.
3 of you do, in fact, because we've got 3 sets of these to give away. Within each set is the front light, which is the core, with which you will have 500 lumens at your disposal when it's on the maximum power setting. We've got the kinetic rear light, which has inbuilt accelerometers, which means it acts as a brake light as well as a standard rear light. And finally, we have the wearable.
Yeah, now the reason they are called the sync range is because they're Bluetooth connected, meaning that you can sync them all up together, and that allows you to control all of them via just one. So effectively you turn 3 lights on with just one button, which sounds like a bit of a bonus. And there's also an app as well that goes on your smartphone, meaning that you can customize them a little bit further, as well as, for me, the biggest boon of all is that you get notifications when your batteries are low.
You did love that, didn't you?
I do still love it, yeah.
To put yourself in with a chance of winning one of these sets, all you've got to do is follow the link that's in the description below, and all of the details will be on the page that you get through to.
Good luck.
GCN Inspiration now, which is your chance to win one of 3 Wiggle voucher amounts. 3rd place each week nets £50, 2nd place £75, and the winner each week is £100 worth of Wiggle vouchers, which you can spend on anything you like over on their online shop.
Yeah, without further ado, let's start with 3rd place on our inspirational podium. This one is an absolute corker, isn't it? Sent in by Alan, who was on the long distance route across Belgium called LF5, on his way home, in fact, from greeting the around the world record breaker Jenny Graham in Berlin. What an image.
That is stunning, isn't it?
There is an absence of bike, but nevertheless, I want to ride down there, yeah. So, I mean, this autumn, there's been some great photos. Hopefully we're going to be seeing these for many months to come when it's dark and wintry and it looks horrible.
Yes, I'm sure we will from somewhere in the world.
Yeah.
2nd place, and therefore receiving £75 worth of vouchers, is Till Goodle. This is called The Wall, apparently. You can't quite see the gradient from that angle, but nevertheless a stunning photo. That is from Beatenberg over in Switzerland.
Good job you can't see the gradient, Dan, because it would be much less inspirational if it looked like a really steep climb.
We wouldn't have included it with a side on angle.
Absolutely not, no way.
We wouldn't have wanted to go out and ride.
No, right, this last one, which really does also make us want to go out and ride. This was sent in by Alexander from the Pfalz region in Rhineland in Germany, saying he and a friend were out on a photo shoot because they're both road riders and photography students. He says, thanks to Mara for the beautiful shot. They are going to split the prize money between them, he says, if indeed they win. So there we go.
That's cool. So £50 each.
That's a really great photo.
It is.
Isn't it?
I could never get a photo like that because, as he points out, it requires a friend. No one likes a smart ass, do they?
No. Well, they do like winners, but unfortunately,
yes, unfortunately, I'm not one of those.
There we go.
A reminder of how you enter GCN Inspiration each week. You've got 2 options. You can either use our uploader, link to which you'll find in the description below, 1st and 3rd, incidentally, from the uploader this week, or you can use what Till used, which was Instagram, the hashtag there, GCN Inspiration.
Yeah, remember as well, you should use that uploader for all sorts of bits that you want to send over to us, including Extreme Corner, any kind of race footage you got.
We've got that sorted this week.
We do have that sorted this week.
It's not me, unfortunately.
It's time now for hack/bodge of the week, and we're going to start with something of a riposte to a hack, well, a bodge actually, that we deemed from a couple of weeks ago, which was an Aero Garmin mount holder underneath your saddle to comply with track regulations. A little bit niche. Anyway, Antonia has waded in with a 3D printed Wahoo Element Bolt track mount with a custom carbon meld 3D Pursuit saddle instead.
Well, it sounds complicated even in the description there,
It does indeed, doesn't it? Now I appreciate the craft work that's gone into this, Dan, but can I just point out that the Wahoo Element Bolt is an aerodynamic head unit that has been positioned in the least aerodynamic way possible. And you know, we all know that at the back of the bike there's a lot of turbulence, but to my mind, that's just poorly executed.
On top of that, even if you're very flexible, you wouldn't be able to read the display there. Would you?
Valid point, Dan.
So
I think that's a bodge, yeah.
Looks neat, but yeah, orientated in the wrong direction completely.
Yeah.
Back to work, Antonia.
Yeah.
Next up, we have got this from Epanson. When you're 40k from home, sunset is drawing near and you find yourself having to change your tub and you've misplaced the little plastic thing you need to unscrew the valve core and extender, but your multi-tool chain breaker works as a makeshift vice with plenty of leverage. Borderline genius!
I love that. It's like the curse of deep section carbon wheels fanning around with valve extenders, isn't it? So that, to my mind, is a good get out of jail free hack.
I wouldn't have thought of that, so it's a hack. Not that things that I can't think of are always hacks. but anyway, you know what I'm talking about.
No, there'd be a lot of hacks, Dan, wouldn't there?
Yeah, there would.
Right, Dennis Stowers on Twitter.
This is his mate, actually, who has mended his own chainstays by welding them back after they broke on a steel bike. And went on to do quite a decent long ride, I think about 60 miles by memory.
And then they broke?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I don't think they broke beforehand.
No, but as in, why had he only done 60 miles? Sure, you just keep rolling on your fixed bike.
That was the distance of the ride, and he got around. I mean, that is the good thing about steel, isn't it? You can mend it yourself if you're clever enough. I couldn't do that, so it's a hack from me.
I'm still struggling to get my head around why he was fixing a bike and then going on a bike ride. Surely you just fix your bike and then that's it, it's fixed. Anyway, technicality, it's a hack. Right, much like this one from Velified on Instagram, which is apparently a homemade direct drive electric bike with homemade pedals.
Yeah, look at them.
No idea why they're necessary.
I want some of those on my pub bike.
Why?
It's like ski bindings, isn't it, without actually being bound in. I think they'd work rather well as pedals.
Imagine one of those whacking you on the shin, Dan. which on your pub bike probably would.
Yeah, often on the way back after a few drinks, I'm trying to bunny hop off the curb. Got that wrong and they hit me in the shins. I wouldn't know about it, wouldn't I?
Right then, next up we've got this from Christopher, which appears to be...
my word.
Well, a backrest, which...
I mean, you would get a bit of shelter from the rain with that thing, wouldn't you? But maybe at my height, I might just have really bad posture.
Well, he was saying, because it was spotted outside his local supermarket in Avignon, and he was saying that maybe it's actually like a sail to make the most of the Mistral, which is like a kind of really strong wind that they have down there in the south of France over the summer. So yeah, maybe it's a sail.
Perhaps so. Bodge. Yeah. Neil Keneally over on Facebook, well, he has fashioned something to salvage a broken brake lever to get himself home. We're not sure.
Rhubarb?
Yeah, we can't really decide exactly what it is, but whatever it is, that's a hack, isn't it, if it gets you home? Always take some zip ties out with you.
Stick of cinnamon, maybe?
He's still guessing.
Grade A hack. Keep them coming. Use the hashtag GCN hack on Twitter, on Instagram, send them to us on Facebook, and of course, upload them direct via the uploader.
Caption competition makes a welcome return, Si, after a notable absence from last week's show for some reason. So, winning a GCN Camelback water bottle from 2 weeks ago is Adam Tyler, who put this caption underneath the picture of the podium with Alessandro De Marchi. For he's a brolly good fellow, for he's a brolly good fellow. That's probably enough of that. GCN Camelback water bottle will be winging its way to you as soon as you send us a message on Facebook with your address, Adam. Right
then, what is the photo for this week? Is this one. That's right, if you can think up a cracking caption, stick it in the comment section down below. Dan, perhaps you could warm everyone up with an absolute perler?
I can, yes. Does my arse look big on this?
Well, the floor is yours, or rather the caption section. Comment section. You know what I mean. Before we get on to what is coming up on the channel over the next week, a quick look back at some of the amazing comments that you've been leaving under last week's videos, like this one sent in by Rich AW underneath the Red Hook video with James and Ollie. He says, mate, all right, mate. He then goes on to say how much he enjoyed the video, but if you don't quite know what Rich is referring to, we'll have a look at this.
All right, mate.
Mate, don't.
Mate.
Mate.
I've come to support you today, mate, so it's going to be
Mate, I appreciate it. I need it.
The ironic thing is that they actually hate each other.
I know.
Ollie and Hank, don't they?
Yeah.
Mate, don't.
Next up, underneath your 3 Peaks video, the hardest cyclocross race in the world, according to Si. This came in from Jesus Enrique Rivera Teles, who I think might be Spanish. He put GCN Español 2, GCN 0. Ouch.
Yeah.
They are beating us 2-0 at the moment, aren't
Yeah,
they?
well, you say they.
You just mean Oscar.
Oscar's just smashing us all. Yeah, fair point. Also, James Helm was questioning the mandatory survival bag that all competitors need, saying, is it a survival bag or is it a body bag? It could double up as that after some of the descents. That's absolutely true. Or indeed when you blow your doors. And then lastly, Sue Watson said, it's bonkers, get a horse. There used to be a race in
That'd be really hard to
in
put
the
your shoulder,
UK.
wouldn't they, up the hills?
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. No, there used to be a race, man v horse v bike, which was basically the 3 Peaks with horses and runners. And the bike rider only won once.
Did they?
Remember Tim Gould?
Yes.
Who's him?
Very well.
4 of you will remember as well.
Very well, hence the pause. But I do remember Tim Gould, of course, yes. Underneath last week's show, last comment for this week, Baby Gerald put, in my crystal ball, I see a future smart trainer that replicates crashes. I think they'll be called rollers.
I love it.
There were some amusing
Genius.
comments beneath that one in reply too, so if you fancy looking at it, head over after watching this show. Right, coming up on the channel this week, on Wednesday, we're going to let you know should I say, how to keep warm in the winter months on your bike. On Thursday, 7 things that you didn't know about the brand new New York Zwift course. And on Friday, we've got, as ever, Ask GCN Anything.
Yeah, on Saturday, Emma is going to show us, and by that I mean all of us, how to do actual science on your bike. If you ever want to test anything, be it the effectiveness of your position or rolling resistance of your tyres, then Emma is going to let you know the methodology that you need.
No one likes a smart ass.
No. Everyone likes Emma though, don't they? So maybe it's because she's a winner.
Yes, that probably is it, isn't it?
Yeah, probably. Right, then on Sunday, you've been waiting patiently for it. It is the Iceland video where we pitted a gravel bike against a mountain bike to see just what comes out on top on an epic gravel ride. So look forward to that one, hopefully. Set a reminder. And then, of course, Monday and Tuesday, it's your favourites, the GCN Racing News Show and the GCN Show.
And talking of racing, more live coverage of cyclocross this weekend over on our Facebook page. On Saturday, it's the next round of the Soudal Classics. And on Sunday, the 3rd round of the Super Prestige, men's and women's. So head over there and set yourself some notifications and reminders.
Dan, I believe there's some big news from the GCN Club.
Huge news. A thoroughly democratic process went through recently, which means that I'm now in my rightful place as the president of the GCN Cycling Club.
Well, congratulations, mate. I'm not entirely sure about the democracy part, given that Lasty's away.
Yeah, well, it's a vote of 1. And Lasty's not very happy about it through the text that he sent me through on WhatsApp in Japan at the moment. Anyway, since I've started my tenure as president, I decided we need to brighten things up as things are getting darker here in the Northern Hemisphere in the evenings, etc. So, Sock 005 was a particularly vibrant fluoro design, as you can see. Yeah, get your sunglasses on there.
Yeah, mate.
Liked those ones. Then we went all out. Ready?
That's not all out.
No, 006.
Wow.
That was the design. And judging by our Instagram feed, that has gone down very well with our GCN
unsurprisingly.
members.
Next sock then is going to be the Christmas sock.
Christmas special sock already has been designed. It's down with our factory in Italy at the moment. It'll be sent out to our members on the 15th of November, I think it is. And actually that means that if you're not a member yet, you've got time to join and still get that sock with plenty of time to wear it over the festive period. And there's going to be a special prize in that period too for the best photo sent to us, festive photo, wearing the GCN Club Christmas socks.
Nice one. All right, well, if you want a bit more info on the club, then there's a link to the club in the description beneath this video. Go check that one out.
Also, we're expanding in 2019. Can't give you any more news than that at the moment. We'll be taking all the feedback on from the members of what else we could do apart from the socks. Wanted to get that bit right first, but stay tuned for that.
Well, fair play, Dan. You're taking your role as club president seriously, having voted yourself in.
Coming towards the end of the show now, which means it's extreme corner time. And today, we are going to watch Ashley Tour going down a water slide on a road bike. I guess that ending was inevitable, but he could have made it look more stylish, couldn't he?
He could, but fair play to him for railing down a water chute on a road bike and
especially up north where it's always freezing cold.
Ploughing headlong into a lake. Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Thanks to Russell Downing and friends for sending us those videos in.
Yeah, right. Now, with Extreme Corner, that of course brings us to the end of the GCN show. We have some announcements though before you go. Firstly, we've got a bit of a deal on in the shop, which is that you can get your hands on one of these Black Essentials cases with waterproof zip for free when you order a fan kit bundle. That offer only lasts till Friday though, so I hope you're being punctual with your GCN show viewing because, well,
shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com, or there will be a link on the screen fairly shortly. That's pretty much the end of the show, so we're going to link to another video, and I'm going to be kind to you, Si. Make sure you watch my jump on the factory video. But we are going to hand over to the Three Peaks cyclocross race, which is a thoroughly good 15-minute watch. It's down here.
Thanks, mate.